On this week's episode of QR on TV by Flowcode, a podcast made by Flowcode, David Tiberia is our guest. David's bio reads as he brings a unique combination of direct response knowledge and Fortune 100 experience, having worked on over 100 different direct response campaigns in both media and campaign management roles. He talks about those roles, how QR has changed television for him, and how, in an argument between Meghan and David, Meghan was definitely right. David Tiberia is a really smart guy, and this podcast is a preview of his participation in a Flowcode panel at PDMI West this week. Listen to the whole thing, check it out. Also, our first real swear word.
Okay,
Oh, we don't.
sorry.
I get it. You're making jokes. We're really good at jokes too.
Oh, good.
David Tiberia, you're the VP of Analytics at Blue Water. You have Fortune 100 experience. You are all about direct response. Tell me, what it is you do as VP of Analytics and what you're excited about in TV.
It's really hard to describe what I do. Some people wonder. No one ever knows the answer. But in all honesty, I manage a team of people that help our clients determine what advertising that they're running works, right? And what doesn't at the highest level, right? Now, there's a lot of tools and things that we use in order to do that. A changing set of tools, right? Based on the fact that we're talking here today. A tool that I don't think we used briefly, 10 years ago, and now it's back, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, we run analysis, we run attribution for our clients, we make sure that goals and things are being tracked properly. We make sure that the things that we're learning make sense. We help clients identify if their campaigns are successful, because the customer in the consumer environment for where you purchase products or subscriptions or generate leads is so fragmented now that you really can't look in just one place, because there's just too many places that a consumer can go. So, we really help clients find out if their stuff's working. And then, outside of that, other things I do, which are, pretty wide around here. I also help with digital strategy. I help with TV strategy. I help with, I used to manage our operations team. Sometimes I jump in there on occasion, but primarily we're focused on helping clients find success. And really, we are rapidly changing constantly what that looks like.
Are you in the camp of people who believe that digital is only going to perform if you're also running TV, or in kind of the context of the brands that you're working with?
Not only, okay. Not only. I mean, that's not fair. It's not fair to digital, right? And it's not fair to, there are very, very big brands that and love, some of whom we work with, that, built a very significant business digital first, right?
Mhm.
Which we believe you can do. I think that's harder now than it was 5 years ago, 7 years ago. The walled garden platforms are not nearly as strong as they were back then. In costs and privacy, and a lot of things have caught up with them that have really damaged what was, in my opinion, their secret sauce. Now we're really deep into David's, brain. This is probably not a good place to go. But that being said, the one thing I can confidently say is that practically everyone we've ever worked with that's been digital first has hit a ceiling without layering television on top. So, does it only work? No. Does it generally work better? I'd say yeah, almost every time we've seen it work better. And the other thing, I mean, if the product is right, or if the creative is right, if all those things are right, yeah, I mean, it works. It usually helps digital work better. But the other piece about that is that, there's always, like I said, there's always that scale factor, right? It's like you run out of the capability to find people on the internet. And there's a lot of theories as to why that is, right? And is it ad fatigue or blindness? Is it, is it the fact that, Google only really is helping you find people that are actively searching for your product? Is it Facebook just doesn't know about as much about you as they used to? There's a lot of things, is that audience list that you're pulling from in your programmatic thing like really old?
Mhm.
Or is it just the fact that some of your consumers have just never imagined buying your product until they saw it kind of hit them, right? And had a little bit of video to back it up. So yeah, maybe that's a roundabout answer, but I think no, I don't think I 100% think you have to have TV for digital, but I do think that there's synergies there based on our clients' experiences.
Synergies.
Oh God, that was a terrible word. I'm so sorry.
That's why
apologize.
I'm calling you out on it. But
Fair enough.
it's a good word, and it actually is like Megan and I were thinking of the same question in different ways. Mine was, it's funny to me that you say you work on digital strategy and you work on TV strategy, because aren't they, synergizing together now? If you want to know why Stranger Things, Kind Bars, Gary V, Feeding America, The Hundreds, POAP, and more are using Flowcode, the answer is safety, design, analytics, and entirely new markets. Stop what you're doing right now and go to
flowcode.com/enterprise
to see the use cases on how people are using this amazing product to create profits and retain or build relationships with their current customers.
They are. And when I say like they kind of go together, that's why I do kind of work on both. We do believe at Blue Water, and me personally, that, offline media has gotten a really bad rap in the last 5 to 7 years, right? It's dead. Well, tell that to my clients. It's not that dead, right? Like, it's working for a lot of clients. It's working for a lot of brands. It's working for a lot of companies.
Yeah.
It's also, it can be accountable. It really has to do with how you choose to measure or not measure your offline media. The other thing too is that a lot of the tools that have been built, from companies, vendors, like for measurement, for multi-touch attribution, for visualization, they always ignore offline. It's like, oh, what do I do with my TV data? People use TV still? Like, yeah, there's a lot of people who use TV.
Even TV is just driving online. It's like people are totally ignoring the awareness piece of the puzzle, I suppose.
What if I have radio data? Oh, no one uses radio anymore. A lot of people use radio. So like, agreed. Not everyone uses radio, but there's so like little focus on these offline mediums. It's like digital. Everyone's like, oh, well, digital is measurable. I'm like, so is TV, right? Digital is attributable. Well, so is TV. And I've stopped saying that digital is attributable. I say digital is more attributable, because honestly, digital is becoming less attributable every second because of privacy, which, we can go down that pipe today if you want to, or later. It's up to you.
No, I mean, well, we definitely are going to talk about privacy because, obviously very topically relevant this week, but I think it also, we talk about the idea of like performance and stuff. First of all, sidebar, I think this is the most seriously toned episode that we've had so far, and it is the exact opposite of kind of what I expected it to be. So that's funny to me, first of all.
We led with a joke. What more do you want?
I don't even think we were recording yet though. But so the thing that I was going to say though is that so the pair all of that together, right? It's questionable inventory quality, questionable targeting data, questionable attribution, all of these things. And it's like, so I don't know, all of that attribution to prove what? All of that attribution to prove that people have very little tolerance for digital advertising, all of that just to find out that people are more creeped out by digital advertising than finding utility in it. And I think, what's really interesting about that is that it's forcing brands and publishers to kind of reevaluate the way that they're earning that click, I suppose, which is interesting.
It is. And we've seen, we've just seen a lot of questionable behavior, right? Like I think people undervalue Google Analytics as a tool, right? Like it tells you a lot. You just have to look and kind of like, get
Mhm.
into the crystal ball a little bit. We've seen, here is the thing about really old TV people, okay? They
Oh, here for
remember
it.
they remember when phones were the only thing that you could measure. They're like, we put a phone number on there, and now we know who called. And
Yep.
that was like the pinnacle. And here's the thing, right? Is that when you had a phone number on there, you knew exactly how many calls you got, right?
Yep.
And there was no question. And like, I still have people that we work with, companies that say, I got 30 calls. Your report says 29. Where's the 30th call? Right? Like,
Yeah.
that's like, and because data, I mean, honestly, data accuracy is extremely important. And it's something that we punch holes in all the time with people that we work with. I'm like, that's not as accurate as you think it is. But on the flip side, the truth is, old school TV people are like, I got 20, I see 20, it matches, right? And what's happening now is we work with clients that have been running TV accountably for 15, 20 years, and now they're layering in some additional, like, more digital than just like, oh, I'm doing Google, right? Or, oh, I'm doing some social. Like, now they're like, no, we're hitting programmatic, we're hitting the hard stuff, right? Well, they start looking at the numbers with us and they're like, well, this says X on the programmatic platform, but I only see Y in Google Analytics. What gives? And like, there's always going to be a discrepancy, but we have seen some big, big discrepancies, like
Tell us more.
Yeah.
big discrepancies. And you go, man, like it with the thing, like, I think you mentioned, like, you kind of alluded to the whole Twitter whistleblower situation. It feels like there's going to be a reckoning. I don't know.
So for users or listeners who have not read the news this week, you want to give us a summary?
The summary is some guy got fired at Twitter, so we should always lead off with the fact that the guy got fired. And so there's always the potential for sour grapes, but why? Like,
It's
why
always
would
a
you do?
disgruntled employee.
It
Always.
could just be a disgruntled employee. We don't know. But there has been a person who came out and said that Twitter has ignored, like, he was in charge of privacy and in charge of, I think it was, gosh, I can't remember exactly what he was in charge of. It doesn't really matter. The point is that he had direct oversight over, fraudulent accounts, bot accounts, what accounts are real, what accounts aren't real, user privacy, that kind of stuff. So just on the heels of a guy who worked for Twitter getting sent to jail for leaking information to the Saudi government a month ago, right? He was logging into accounts, and then, like, people that were being critical of them, he was feeding, like, phone numbers and private information back out. But on top of that, now this guy is saying that Twitter knows that there's a huge, basically, fake account problem, and that they're intentionally undercounting it by looking at only certain metrics and not others, and really not protecting users' privacy as much as they should. It's kind of the high level. But the truth is, obviously, yes, you may not have heard of this, but if you live under a rock, you haven't heard Elon Musk out there complaining about how many fraudulent accounts there are or not on Twitter. This guy really falls in line with that same message of, like, something's not right here. And, dare I say that it does align with some experience we've had with a client on Twitter, where just a shocking amount of traffic driven from Twitter that we validated showed up in Google, right, in analytics, and, like, not not a single matched purchase. And it, the crazy thing too is that we also, if you use Twitter as a platform, you'll know that they've largely depreciated the ability to track sales against their ads anymore. So they always had a part of their pixel, same thing everyone had, like place it on here, user event.
Bold move.
Yeah, it's a bold move, Cotton. They took it out. Like we actually went to launch for a client, and one of our techs couldn't get the work, and we were talking with our rep, like, oh yeah, we don't do that anymore. Like, it's like
we just don't do it anymore.
It's in your documentation. They're like, it's old documentation. We've done it, but we're doing it. We were doing this like a month ago for another client. Yeah, no, they stopped.
So
okay.
I was looking at Blue Water's website, David, and at like
you want to talk about me?
I mean, a little bit, but like what you guys, what I thought was interesting was when there's like a purchases or like what we do tab, and in it is creative, conversion, media, analytics, and marketplace. And those seem like 5 extremely separate things that all work together. But is that how you guys see them? And like, tell me a little bit about it, because you were talking about it earlier. Okay, there's your creative execution, and then there's how big your call to action is, or like, how are you measuring? What are the things? Because there's a lot in this secret sauce, and you're saying right there, here's all of our recipes. Like, what are you cooking?
Yeah, it's interesting. You really kind of hit on 2 things, just how do we measure, which we should probably come back to, because this is, like a podcast company makes things you use to measure stuff with. But
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But from a Blue Water standpoint, like, what do we do? How do we see the world? I mean, the truth is, we want to work with your brand on all of it. Like, we believe that there are that these things are interlocking like puzzle pieces, right? And you can't have a successful media campaign without successful creative, and you can't have successful creative without understanding your audience, and your media campaign can't work unless your commerce in your web strategy is working. And if you're running TV, then you really should be looking at at how digital works against that, or vice versa, right? Like, is your brand scaled to that point? So do we look at, are they separate? No, and analytics lays over all of it. I mean, you can leverage analytics at every step of the way. I mean, we have analytics programs that look at responses against long form TV creatives, and we can see what parts of the creative help drive response. We can use that to inform shorter length creatives that will run for those same clients. We'll use that to modify the long form creatives and adjust them, right? There's things you can do in that mix. So to say that do we look at each one of those separate? I mean, no, of course not. Each one's a part of the marketing mix. The marketing mix has to be right across the entire campaign to work. But we also live in a real world where some clients run their digital in-house. Actually, like, every client runs their digital in-house, right?
Sure.
Right. Like, we work with a very big direct to consumer digital subscription product, and they run some of their own analytics in-house, right? Like, we work with them on that. It's like, we just we don't advocate and say, oh, whatever you say. Like, we work with them, and we use our analytics. We work together to find the right answer, or at least what we think is the right answer. No one knows the right answer, otherwise we wouldn't be talking here today. But right, like, if
we'd all be sitting on islands, to be honest with you.
Once everyone's using flow codes, we'll know the ansers. But
yes, right. I'm with you, Megan. Right. I'm for the island plan. Let's jump on that train. There you go. But that being said, yeah, we live in a real world where it's not like we're in a state. Like, I'm sitting in a 35,000 television studio. On that wall right over there, we have shot commercials on the other side of that wall for really, 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 really big brands, and generated millions and billions of overall sales through the years. Billy Mays himself shot OxyClean
The
on the
man,
other side of
the legend,
on
the
the
real
other-
the OxyClean commercial.
the original on the other side of that wall, right over there.
Talk to
That
me
is-
when it's ShamWow.
I've
That's the one.
maybe hung out with Vince before. Maybe.
Hold
I gotta
on.
know what the vibe in
Celebrity
that room
brag.
was like. Gotta know what the vibe in that room was like. David
Actually,
Tiberia and the ShamWow guy.
Vince Offer, he's calmed down quite a bit now. He's past his days, so I think it was better now. You guys know. Everyone knows
Gotta get
about
out.
that.
That's
Everyone knows about that.
Oh, 100%. But I forgot about it until you just said it.
He's past his days, so it's fine. We had a good time.
Is
He's
he
a cool
sad
guy.
about it?
Can we talk
sad?
about
It's a really awkward conversation topic, Megan. You don't generally walk in and be like, so, hey, nice to meet you. Good.
Are you sad
So
about
that
that?
whole- That whole
yes?
thing, you feel bad about it? Are you remorseful? Is that a thing?
Nick, did your family just walk in when we were talking?
Yep. My son came in to see if he could play with his friend who just showed up at the front door. Don't worry, the was all in my ears, so 10-year-old missed it.
We're doing great.
I don't know how we recover from what just happened,
Well,
but I do have a
this
question.
is really
one
just
segue.
we're just trying to fulfill Megan's wish about like, yeah, speaking of have you been punching holes in your attribution strategy leveraging flow code?
There we go.
Well, you should,
Oh,
because
wow.
so having spent so much time on direct response, and real quickly before I get the rest of this question out, have you worked on like campaigns for people to get elected?
I actually have only
Yep. Okay, cool.
only very small amounts.
Does it no? The answer is yes, you have. You are now our political expert that we're talking to.
No. Okay, yes, no.
Okay,
Please
so
don't label me as a political
Don't use
expert.
that.
This is an ad for Flowcode. It costs 5 times more to land a new client than it does to retain an existing customer. The same math would tell us that retaining 5% more of your current customers can increase profit anywhere from 25 to 95%. Increase profit from 25 to 95%. Flowcode makes a lot of things easier, specifically retaining and engaging your current customers. There are a lot of QR companies based in other countries that are happy to sell you a QR solution. Flowcode is the only one actively working with customers to increase their profits. Go to
flowcode.com/TV
and get the answers to the questions you've had about direct-to-consumer and all things QR with Flowcode. I won't do that. The real question, though, is with so much direct response under your belt and seeing the millions or billions of sales that you've helped push clients through, is brand advertising a waste? Like just brand spots where there is no call to action, where they aren't
Okay.
like
Sorry, I was trying to tie that. What does that do with political advertising? I'm super confused. Did you want to tie those two things together, or is that
so the political one is just like, oh, I wrote this down earlier and I want to make sure I ask a question about it. But I see political ads all the time that tell me about someone's look and feel, and they use trigger words on either side of the aisle that you're on to get you to do a thing, but there's no thing that you go do. So many of those ads are like, the best that they can do is go to www.mycampaignsite.com and then scroll to the thing where you enter your whatever. Like
I don't even see that. Have you seen that? I haven't seen that.
I mean, there are sites with website, or there are commercials with websites on them for politics, but
Very
like
small.
Those feel like brand image advertising, where you should be doing you should affect a change or get a result and put them into your system in some way. Is brand advertising or image advertising on its own anything you even mess with?
So there's a lot to unpack there, so I'm gonna try and hit each point individually. So like on the political thing, I don't know why why politicians don't do response advertising. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it is literally its own very weird world, and it is very, I say weird, it's not fair. There's some extraordinarily brilliant people that run political ads, and like they have to work so fast, right? Like they have a window and a time frame, and people are, as we can all attest to based on this conversation today, weird. And there's and they're fickle, and you're trying to get them to do something that ultimately people, there's a lot of reasons why they just won't do it, right? Like, and there's pervasive, and I'm not some political expert, but I do know, because I've got some friends and stuff, having talked to them, there is this overall, to win a race you have to get 51% of the vote. Anything you spend to get 52 is a waste of dollars, which I was like, wow, that's bold, right? Like, there's like, we're not trying to create a landslide. We're just trying to spend enough money in a market or in an area or in a district to get it over the edge. And then we want to spend the money in the other places where we have to spend more to get it over the edge, right? I don't want to just keep pummeling it. If this is set, I don't want to keep pummeling it. Okay. It is a tight margin, right? So, I don't know why they don't do response driven things. You would think that you would want that. You would think that you would want to know, like, if you only have a short period of time, you put a creative out and a bunch of people scan a flow code, because they put a flow code on there. When they scan, right, you would think that you would want to know that, like, oh, well, that ad is resonating really, well, we're talking about politics, really bigly. And really bigly, hugely bigly. And and then make choices in other places based on that feedback, right? But that's just, we were very close to shooting a long form infomercial for a candidate in 2008 that just didn't quite get over the edge, right? It was very close. And when they said, like, no, they was like, no, we're just not going to do this, we were actually kind of shocked, because we also think that truly it recreates the look and feel of like a forum, right? Or a town hall. And the kind of FaceTime that you can get from something that's either longer form or has a response mechanism or some kind of a call to action in it, would create a more engaged constituent or voter, that would ultimately help you get to your goals. So I agree. I don't know why no one's ever done it. If you are listening right now and you are running for office, please call me. We should do this for you. Okay, I'm done now.
And when they call you, David, please put a flow code on their spot so that they're actually measurable. Barack Obama running that like half-hour special where you just bought Prime and did the thing, and I was wondering if you're saying that the competition wanted to do the same to pair it out, but I'm
not gonna get into specifics.
Oh,
but what
good.
I can tell you is that there were real discussions, and I agree with you. I think it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you not want to know? Can't optimize, but you can't measure. I've said it before.
I feel like we could go down the revolutionary thing here.
I have said it before, and I'll say it again. And it's not new. It's not like some genius revolutionary thing that David Tiberia came up with. It's just common sense. Can't optimize, but you can't measure. And when it comes to measuring offline, like TV, great is the enemy of good, right? To sit there and go like, oh, I gotta know perfect or it's not worth it. It's crap is what it boils down to, right? It's just crap. You should measure based on what you know. And if you make changes and your numbers get better, then those changes were good, right? Even if they weren't perfect. And that comes back down to your thing about brand, right? Like brand and media. Looks perfect segue. So, do I think that you should have some kind of an action or a response, even if it's something slight, which says go here or learn more? Like, yeah, I think you should put your stinking website on your stinking commercial. Like, who cares if it's there? Like, what is so damaging about your brand image to have your company's URL at the bottom? It doesn't make any sense at all. We work with brands that have fought us like tooth and nail on some of those things, and to us, we're like, it just makes good sense, right? Like, give yourself an opportunity to win, make your media accountable, measure it, optimize it, and make it better, right? You do it now on digital. Now I say you do it on digital, right? I'm like, yeah. You won't do it on TV? No, it's not a brand. Okay, silly. But from do we run some brand only stuff? Yeah, of course. I mean, in our opinion, the stuff that leans into response driven TV builds brands simultaneously. It's not either or, it's this and this. It's yes and. It is, improv comedy, right? It's yes and. Right? So, yeah, of course you can measure both. And if you run $3 million of brand response on TV, you're going to build your brand. And we've seen it time and time again. But yeah, there's a lot of reasons why we might only run a 30, might run a non-branded. Maybe you've got or something that has limited response mechanisms or very subtle response mechanisms. Maybe they have a really big retail presence and you're trying to drive more retail foot traffic than anything else. But I mean, even that, I think I shared with you guys a couple of weeks ago, we were talking outside of here that we have a client who was running a brand commercial to drive retail foot traffic for a CPG-ish product that you could pick up at Walmart. I think they've also got Target. So like some big like and we're talking chain wide. So we're talking like tens of thousands of doors, right? And we're running brands, retail support stuff, and then we put, a QR flow code on there, right? And we just started measuring to see if anyone's scanning. It's a 30-second spot too. We're like, again, and I apologize. Megan knows that, like, I'm like, who can scan a code in 30 seconds? I didn't think anyone was going to scan.
Fought me, and you fully fought me when we first.
I know, and I had to apologize in the end. I had to admit that I was wrong. People scan them.
You did, which is why I wasn't even going to bring it up, but
it's okay. I'm willing to admit, I was like, Meg and I, at one of our first calls, I was like, listen, we did this like 7 years ago and no one scanned them and no one cares about QR codes, and quit telling me they do, right? And I'm like, I'm doing this only because, my business partners are like, we should do this. And I kept saying like, it's a waste of time. And I was dead wrong. It is not a waste of time. People scan the codes. The information is valuable for a savvy marketer. And it is very, very helpful. And for this client in particular, we put flow codes on a 30-second spot. People scan the darn things. And we have information about which stations and time periods and day parts for this client's TV campaign are driving more response. And so you know what we do? We optimize because we measured the darn thing, and we went and we bought more of the stuff that worked.
Like we've been doing with digital for freaking forever. No, you're exactly right. And you totally nailed that point. If people, it's like, oh, do you want to be able to measure TV? I had the same exact conversation station side. I was like, guys, what if we had analytics for TV? And they were like, no, we don't want that.
Does anyone believe Nielsen? Oh, I didn't say that, did I? They're listening now.
I know. Well, I mean,
or they're gonna attribute that they're listening, but they don't have any idea who's here.
Truly.
I gotta go fill out a log. I'll be right back.
Gotta go hit the button on my remote. Gotta go wait in the box.
I gotta go fill out my diary. Hang on 1 second.
Too much. Listen, this is a very thinly veiled. These are shots fired.
It's not shots fired. I just think it's funny because, like, we take a lot of in all honesty, in the advertising industry, which you guys are now a part of. Welcome to the club.
Love our lives here.
It's not that. I heard one time I read that advertising is a glamour profession. I'm like, I don't think that's.
You're really like, necessarily true. Yeah, I don't know about that.
I think that's misattributed. Hey, but the I totally lost my train of
Totally
thought. I
lost your train of
apologize.
thought. No.
I got.
So-
I think it's funny. Okay, I now remember. We take a lot of things for granted in the advertising world, like the impression numbers are right. You know, there was an actual person on the computer screen when I ran that ad, right? Like,
Yep.
there wasn't. That ad wasn't running a 1x1 box in the corner of a fraudulent site, right? There's a lot of things that we just take for granted. It's so funny that people will take for granted all this stuff on digital, like, oh, I put a pixel says that they converted. Google is not the largest company in the world. They're totally honest. I love them, right? Like, I don't dislike Google, but like, for real, like, who's like, the most trustworthy, the world's largest corporation? Oh, great. Yeah, dead on, right?
100%.
It's not that they're not. I'm not claiming that Google is like openly fraudulent. I'm just saying that we take a lot of stuff for granted in the advertising world. It's funny the things that we choose to say, like, oh, you just can't do it. Oh, you just can't measure TV. Well, we've been doing it for 15, 20, 30 years. Of course you can measure TV. You just have to want to.
You just don't need a phone number to do it now.
Exactly. That's and I'm gonna do something again that you guys really should be doing more, which is kind of half plugging yourself here, but to plug
Our
Flowcode a little.
podcast, we have ad slots.
Exactly, to do the flow code thing here a little bit. It's true. I mean, we use a QR code just like we would use a phone number. We use them across, in specific places. We use unique codes where we need to be able to read, certain things, whether it's creative, whether it's station. There's a lot of things that we can read depending on how unique we place the codes. We've built backend analytics and data flows so that we can know where those things are coming from, measurements that flow them into our media attribution system daily, so that we know exactly what happened the previous day once we have information in. I mean, we've done a lot of work to do this, but it's as stinking direct as a phone number. It's 1-to-1, right? If I scanned and I showed up, it is real, and we know exactly where that came from. There's no statistics involved. There's no algorithms involved. There's nothing, right? It's 1-to-1. And if they purchased, we know that too. So, these are things that you can do, and they're not hard if you have the right partners. All the people sitting here today, of which we are a Flowcode partner. We work with them, and we can help you leverage their tech in your advertising campaigns to make them better and more measurable. But yeah, it's just you gotta have to want it. I will tell you, I think that in a challenging economic climate, of which how challenging it is or isn't, we're not going to discuss that here. We don't know, right? But we do know that budgets get tightened, even when you think sometimes you don't even know the answer. People tighten like it's pre-tightening, right? It's like a preemptive tightening.
We don't know what's going to happen, but we're just being safe. Yeah, truly.
We've all had those conversations in the last few months, right? It's like it's a preemptive belt tightening. So preemptive belt tightening, happens when you preemptively belt tighten. You know what can actually make a difference, and why we are all poised to help brands be better is because measuring and making your media accountable makes it better, right? Making your media accountable and measuring against it optimizes it, and it helps you spend the money you have more efficiently. So people right now should be leaning into this, right? This is a lean in moment, not a lean back moment.
Well, and because what we're finding, and this is the thing, and this is what I love, is that you wanted to fight me so much, which is fine, and we've gotten past it. Obviously, I haven't. I'm still.
No, because you keep bringing it up.
I know. I just like being right. No, the thing that I was going to say for real though, is that, like, obviously, listen, coming out of the Super Bowl, I think the big thing was like, yeah, okay, somebody put a QR code on TV, but is anybody going to actually keep doing this? And like, so the thing that you have proved is that that it, I mean, realistically, we'll say that it works, right? Like we could say, you know, and, you know, we've had conversations about things being subjective of cross messaging, of course, 100%, that always is true. But like, yeah, the thing is that like people will respond to what's on their screen if you give them the ability to do so, which is what a novel idea. And then what's so wild to me is that now, you know, it's not like the Super Bowl was that long ago, but now like flash forward how many months? Eight months? What year is it? What
I think, yeah, 7-8 months, right around there.
yeah, flash for 7-8 months,
It's
whatever.
this company that used to be called Coinbase. That's what you're thinking of.
I know. Who were they?
That's the only word I'm gonna bleep out in this.
Yeah, we're not.
Oh, so that's where you draw the line.
That's it.
But when we start talking about crypto, forget about it.
Yeah.
See,
We don't
Megan,
do
you
that.
were worried that this conversation was going to be too serious.
No, I was like, this is weird. But then I was like, this is about right. But no, I mean, what we're seeing is like not only an increased use of QR, like, yeah, brands are starting to use more and like viewers are starting to engage more. But what's wild is like, and I'm going to circle back on Nielsen really quick because this feels really, really relevant. We had an activation that went live with a partner in like not a huge market, right? So like middling sized metro, right? And
did you say Midland, Texas, or did you say
no,
middling?
Okay. Although
No,
Midland is we
down in Midland, Odessa market, Megan has been shilling codes. Actually, it's a recycled couch factory. She got them on TV, and they're going gangbusters. I think you could probably maybe like between 50 and 60 is the market size,
Yeah.
right?
50 and 60.
Yeah.
Not Midland, Odessa level.
Not too bad. They put a code up on screen for 30 seconds. And we checked the scan rate, the number of scans back against the impressions as reported by Nielsen. And we were like, okay, one of two things. Either we just proved that 90% of your audience chose to respond to that code, or there are a lot more people watching than we expected.
No,
like,
Megan, wait, stop. That can't be true. TV's
what
dead.
do you mean?
TV's dead. It's fine. Someone told me that.
No, I mean,
just a week
nobody's
ago,
watching. Nobody
someone
cares.
Someone told me TV's dead. It's dead.
Nobody
You're wrong.
If someone's listening to a podcast, they obviously never watch TV. So
Right, because
TV's
people
dead.
who watch TV never listen to podcasts.
You know what?
And vice versa.
I'll say that TV was dead, and then Flowcode came and saved them.
Oh, okay. Wait. Wow.
Not that we have hero complexes or anything. Not that
we need to
like
promote ourselves better.
right.
You do, but that was really deep. I think you just like if there's a pendulum, we were way to the right, and now you're way to the left.
We're really not good at it. That's the thing. That's how you know that we're good partners, is that we're so humble. We're horrible at plugging ourselves.
We're so humble. We call ourselves humble.
That's it. See? Somebody's like, say something nice about yourself. Nick and I are like, we're heroes.
There it is.
That's
there it is.
Our
there
first
it is.
F-bomb.
Got it. I knew it would happen. My presence. Yes. Your audience is like, why are you still recording this? We are at home. At home, we are so sorry.
Well, you can scan my cape. All right.
Yes, you can scan his cape, or you could try and scan that code on his.
Scan my code. I'm gonna start saying that to people. Yeah, well, you can scan my code.
But in all seriousness, all of the Megan cursing aside, the truth. You're gonna get. I feel like I'm sorry. I feel like I've gotten all of you in trouble.
No,
no.
I promise we're not in trouble.
Okay. But long story short, though, yeah, it's measurable, and you're right. You know what? The truth is, it's probably a little bit of both. There's probably a lot more people watching than they think, or vice versa. I can't imagine 90% of the audience responded, and it just means that just because they say no one's watching doesn't mean people aren't, and just because people say they say people are watching doesn't mean they are. And what you want to do is I always give my clients an option. Like when clients come to me, they're like, well, the CPM on this is rather high, right? Which is one of my more favorite conversations to have. And I'm like, yeah, I hear you. But I always remind them, I'm like, listen, if I got you $1,000 spot with a $1,000 CPM, and you generated $15,000 in sales off of that we could measure, or I got you $1,000 spot with a $1 CPM and you generated $500 in sales. Which one would you choose? And they say, I take the $1,000 CPM every day. I'm like, and that's the point, right? Like, we don't have to be, locked into projected, estimated metrics that are, God bless them, hard. Like, the reason why they're not accurate, the reason why they vary in accuracy, is because they're hard, right? It's hard to do. How do you measure what everyone in America is watching on television all at once? You can't do it. And people have done a really great job at coming up with statistical, challenges and ways to get around it, but it's still imprecise. Measuring who actually responded is just a more precise way, in my opinion. So yeah, we got the tools. We got the tools. We got the will. We got the cursing. Let's do it.
We got it.
Let's do it.
Power to the people. Power to the people. Honestly, that's what we're doing here.
Let's do it.
I don't know if there's anything else we can say. Like,
this was very comprehensive, ladies and gentlemen.
It was.
Very comprehensive. If you want more, you are a sadistic person at this point and should really.
The only thing that we didn't get to, the Flowlytics team wants to know how much you bench press.
The Flowlytics team does not want to know how much I bench press. That is a lie.
They also want to know what the login to your Google Analytics is.
Well,
so if you had to choose to answer one of those questions,
one of them offends him.
I'm trying to remember the last time. So I'm a runner. I run a lot. So I
don't actually have to answer.
How many bench presses have you run?
How many bench presses? What does that even mean?
How many benches have you pressed?
I was actually in a had a CrossFit phase for a while where I was trying that out to see how that was like. It was not my thing, but I
get in the
bench
box
press there, and I want to say I bench pressed about 180. So let's say that. Okay.
Right. Okay. Solid.
Reasonable.
I am deep in my sitting on the couch phase. So.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I hope that works for you. That does not work for me.
I mean,
I guess
I can't be this cool if I'm not at least getting some energy out in the mornings so that I can be,
That's fair.
Have you ever seen the movie Rounders?
I have not.
Okay. John Malkovich is in it.
Okay, so true story. When I was a JUCO and basketball official for a while back in the day, and my nickname was Malkovich, so that's what everyone used to call me.
It tracks.
They're like, "Oh, work with Malkovich." I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" So, see, you're not far.
There are less cool names to have.
Yeah, we have a Halloween party here at our company every year for our clients and partners and stuff, which we should talk about. But
thank you.
Yeah,
we have an invite to lob back to you, by the way. So
okay, so we'll talk about that after this. But the I have a rule that I will only be people for a Halloween that are bald, so I end up being a lot of John Malkovich characters, like Cyrus the Virus.
There you go.